Once the largest pre-Columbian city in South America, Chan Chan is an archaeological site located in the Peruvian region of La Libertad, 5 kilometers east of Trujillo. Chan Chan was the capital of the Chimú Kingdom, the chief state in Peru before the establishment of the Inca Empire. The Chimú Kingdom reached the height of its power in the 15th century, not long before falling to the Incas. The planning of this huge city, the biggest in pre-Columbian America, reflects an elaborate system of social stratification. The city of Chan Chan represents America's largest pre-Hispanic mud brick settlement. Its complexity has come to light only after years of extensive excavations. What is striking about Chan Chan is its sheer size and the intense organization of its strictly hierarchical urban space. The city as a whole covers some 20 square kilometers. The central area containing the city's monuments occupies over 6 square kilometers. The center of the city is divided into 9 walled citadels, each constructed out of adobe brick, finished with mud, and each containing temples, dwellings, storehouses, orchards, cemeteries, gardens, reservoirs, and symmetrically arranged rooms. It is believed that these citadels were the living quarters, burial places, and warehouses of the aristocracy. Outside of these 9 rectangular units, 4 industrial sectors have been found to the west and south. The bulk of the city's population, however, lived outside of the citadels, in much more modest quarters. The ruins of Chan Chan, which are located in one of the world's most arid regions, are literally melting away due to the combined effects of wind and rare atmospheric precipitation. Because these remnants of a complex culture and society require continuous protection from natural erosion, the abandoned and fragile site of Chan Chan was included on the list of UNESCO World Heritage Sites in 1986. It is estimated that 30,000 people once lived in the city of Chan Chan. Its walls were constructed of adobe brick and were then covered with a smooth cement into which intricate designs were carved. There are 2 styles of design present in these carvings. One is a realistic representation of subjects such as birds, fish, and small mammals, and the other is a more graphic, stylized representation of these same subjects. Peru's huacas, or temples, are of unique archaeological significance. Huaca el Dragón, also called Huaca del Arco Iris, or Rainbow, is the archaeological center of the Chimú people who built Chan Chan. Built in adobe, it has been recently restored and is one of the best conserved huacas of Chan Chan citadels. The archaeological complex of Huacas del Sol y de la Luna, Temple of the Sun and the Moon, includes 2 big truncated pyramids, the Huaca Las Estrellas, Temple of the Stars, the Huaca del Cerro Blanco, White Hill Temple, the Spider Geoglyph, and other constructions. Both huacas constituted the center of power of the millenary Mochica, a culture that developed between 100 and 900 AD. Nowadays, the archaeological complex, also known as Huacas de Moche, or the Moche Temples, encloses an area of 60 hectares. Overlooking the Pyramid of the Sun stands the Pyramid or Temple of the Moon, another major component of the urban and ceremonial center of the pre-Hispanic settlement of the Moche. Ongoing excavations by Peruvian and foreign scholars have revealed the complexity of this fascinating structure. Painted reliefs pertaining to different phases of construction, at least 4 of which have been identified so far, have been located in several of the platforms and plazas. The Huaca of the Moon, where astonishing murals depicting the rituals of the moches can be appreciated, is composed of superimposed temples. Its walls are adorned with beautiful polychrome murals, whose figures include the image of the god Alapac. The Huaca de la Luna is an extraordinary demonstration of what painstaking, careful archaeological excavations can achieve. Here, at a site that has been well known and frequently looted for centuries, excavations have revealed layer upon layer of ancient construction, uncovering wall after wall of colorful friezes that were intentionally buried by the Moche and had not seen the light of day for 1,500 years. The Chimus founded their capital a few kilometers away from Huanchaco and called it Yang, which in the ancient Mochica language means sun. The Chimos spoke the Mochica language. It is not known which language was spoken by the Moche culture. In ancient times, the Chimu's 10 adobe citadels of Chanchan dazzled the spectator with temples and palaces adorned with geometric friezes in brilliant hues. Elaborate ceremonies were captured forever on their painted ceramics, and masterpieces wrought of gold would later become the treasures of the Incas. Each citadel has very tall outer walls, some of which reach 26 feet in height, built in independent segments. The citadels have a single narrow north-facing entrance, which leads down a corridor that opens up onto other passageways lining walls and buildings, featuring marvelous rectangular architecture. Inner patios, residences, administrative buildings, temples, platforms, and storehouses. The walls were decorated with high-relief friezes displaying geometric and animal figures. The citadels were constructed out of adobe brick finished with mud, with roofs of wood, reed, and straw. The walls were covered with a smooth surface into which intricate designs were carved. There are two styles of design present in these carvings. One is a realistic representation of subjects such as birds, fish, and small mammals, and the other is a more graphic, stylized representation of these same subjects. While earlier civilizations concentrated on feline and anthropomorphic forms, the Chimu style shows a preference for maritime motifs. The carvings at Chanchan depict fish, pelicans, and nets for catching various sea creatures. Chanchan, unlike most other coastal ruins in Peru, is located extremely close to the Pacific Ocean. The first major structures, which probably include the Chuayhac Citadel and the Huaca El Higo, were built around 850 AD. Each of these palaces, most of which are laid out in a very similar fashion, in spite of differences in size, are characterized by three types of structures: U-shaped audience rooms, warehouses, and wells. The flow of people was controlled by the site's high walls, long corridors, strategically configured passageways, and small entrances. The U-shaped rooms, called audiencias, are found in varying sizes and are interpreted as the administrative offices of the Chimu elite. Some are decorated with elaborate clay friezes that represent shellfish, stylized waves, marine fish, and birds. One frieze, for example, represents a reed boat adorned with a cormorant and a giant squid about to gobble a fish. Another recurring feature of the citadels of Chanchan are large, deep, walk-in wells, as seen in the Chudi Citadel. Today must have dried out completely, as have the sunken gardens, where the produce consumed by the inhabitants of Chanchan was most likely grown. Many persons in Chanchan resided in intermediate structures, smaller than the citadels, but more complex than huts. An estimated 12,000 artisans working at Chanchan lived in these intermediate structures. There are 35 monumental buildings in Chanchan associated with this intermediate architecture. The Museo de Sitio de Chanchan, located along the road back to Trujillo, has a small collection of ceramics from Chanchan and some exhibits presenting the city and its history. The Moche culture developed near Trujillo and spread out over much of the north coast, lasting from 200 BC to 800 AD. The Chimu culture emerged when the Moche culture died out and built Chanchan, the largest pre-Hispanic city in Peru. Near the archaeological site, Trujillo is one of the main cities built by the Spaniards and retains much of its colonial charm, though the area is also rich in archaeology and tradition. The city grew in importance during the colonial period as a result of agriculture, and there are still many fine colonial houses and churches in the city. Trujillo is such a pleasant and enchanting town that a visitor could spend hours simply strolling its streets or sitting on a bench in some picturesque square. Founded in 1534 and named for Francisco Pizarro's hometown in Spain, Trujillo is considered Peru's cultural capital, with festivals, including the Marinera, the National Dance Competition, an International Ballet Festival, art and horse racing, and the Totora Raft Exhibition. The city of Trujillo has become famous in Peru for its market and shoemaking tradition. The main shopping neighborhood around the Ayacucho and Pizarro roads is a good place to pick up some quality handmade leather shoes. Trujillo is the center of the tourist circuit in northern Peru, mainly because of its large number of cultural and historical attractions. It also remains the starting point for visiting the city of Chanchan, the religious and administrative center of the Chimu culture, and the largest mud city ever discovered.